What's good, y'all? Elvis here. So, a while back, I made a video titled Relationship Lessons I Learned Through Barbering. The link is somewhere. But in that video, I kind of touched on how as my relationship skills improve, my barbering skills improve, and vice versa. So, I figured I'd make a part two because it's a reoccurring theme in my life as well as my career. My career, because I retired. But that also made me look back on my whole career and how I got to this point in my life. And I've realized that the relationships I maintain through my business mirror the relationships I have in my personal life in some interesting ways. So you might be familiar with the 5 love languages. And the 5 love languages are basically the different ways people give and receive love. And it's usually influenced by your early relationships with your parents or just your early environments. My 2 top love languages tends to be acts of service and quality time. So anybody who saves me some trouble, if someone shows up for me in some form of utility, oh my goodness, I feel that shit right here. I'm not trying not to rub the mic. But as well as quality time, like somebody would sit here and really talk to me and intimately try to get to know like what I got going on. Like that's right here. I love that shit. And I didn't realize until maybe at least 4 or 5 years in that I completely structured a lifestyle and a business around that. Everything I do all the time is acts of service and quality time. And that showed me like we really go out of our way to show the love that we want to receive for real. But I guess that, so in a way, it's like we're always loving ourselves outwardly. But that also makes me think about how like lack of self-love comes out to other people as well. Like I say 99% of the people I've ever had an issue with, they never had an issue with me specifically because most people don't know me well enough to really have a problem with me or really be invested. They had an issue with what I represent to them within themselves more than likely. But I remember when I was reactive to people and the way people moved and the things that people said rubbed me the wrong way, it was always because of my internal conflict with myself. And I feel like in my life as well as my business, I went through different stages of building up my self-love. At first, it was kind of like non-existent, so I was always just looking at the world kind of like a victim, like nobody loved me because I don't love me. I assume nobody gonna love me because who gonna do it if I don't? And then I started dealing with my trauma and started healing from some things, and I started building it up a little bit. And then I had more respect for myself. I had a little bit more appreciation, but I was still doing things that showed that I still was struggling with loving myself. I wasn't taking care of my body. I was entertaining relationships that were, I wouldn't say that weren't loving relationships. I would just say because my self-love was so low, by contrast, somebody else barely loving me felt like a lot. So there was a point in time where I had to, or I wouldn't say I had to, but I was dealing with relationships that weren't serving me. And I mean, I feel like low-key, I think I try to be useful. So yeah, I was serving them. But ultimately, we're doing ourselves a disservice if we're going into relationships that can't sustain us. You know what I'm saying? Like, by me entering any kind of relationship, whether it's business, personal, anything, if there's a need I need met, and I'm not able to get it here, going into that situation, going into that relationship is a reflection of my care for myself, for real. Like, that's like me jumping into a lake and being like, there ain't no air in here. Like, what you think? You knew exactly what the fuck a lake was. And you knew what your need for oxygen was. Who you mad at? You or yourself? I'm gonna answer that. Yourself. You can't be mad at anybody else. No one's gonna care about yours. No one's gonna care about your perspective more than you do. But just like how I had to go through that with my personal relationships, I had to go through that with my business relationships. There was people that had just enough respect for themselves and just enough respect for me to do business with me, but they didn't respect themselves to a high degree or respect me enough to, let's say, show up to an appointment on time consistently. Or actually the thing that's become the most apparent now is when I'm around people, I'm a lot more sensitive to the energy. So I can peep some low-key hating ass shit.
Smell like bitch in here. All y'all smell like bitch to me.
Like I can tell when somebody's giving me a compliment and it's disingenuous. I had a previous coworker. I'm not gonna say no names. Not gonna say no names. But this is a person that I would say is very similar to me. If I went a very specific life path, 10 years from now, I would be him. We're very similar in certain regards. Most people will lump us together because we're non-traditional black people. You know what I'm saying? We do the same thing, but we don't do shit the same. So I jump into like random hobbies sometimes. Like a while back, I did stand-up, like literally twice. But I just like jumping into different little activities. And this dude, he was just kind of like giving me a lot of props about it. And I was like, oh, appreciate you. But he was like turning it up. Like he was like, bro, like it's really dope that you can do that. And it's not, this dude was just, not gonna lie, he was kind of dick riding. He was kind of like, bro, not everybody can do that. It's kind of dope that you da. And I'm like, bro, nigga, I just did this twice and I happened to record the second time I did it. Like, it ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm ass at this. Like, I appreciate you, but it's not that deep. Like, I legitimately know it's not that deep, especially because I'm friends with a bunch of fucking comedians. I went up there and did not do that fucking well, but I did all right. You know what I'm saying? For like the second time. But this dude just kind of like big up in me about it. And I'm like, okay, you know, appreciate it. And at that time, it felt off, but I was like, I'll take the compliment, like, whatever. It was a few months later. He gets into it with me at the shop because he got in his little feelings about something. Then I go get into it. So he's mad, and he starts talking shit, and he starts bringing up the comedy routine I did before, and he was like, oh, you're not even funny, and da-da-da-da-da, and anybody can do it, and da-da-da-da. And he's literally saying verbatim the exact opposite shit he was saying before. That made me realize, like, oh, ain't no beef, but I know you a bitch now.
Smell like bitch in here.
I know for sure, like, either you were lying then or lying now, but I knew you were disingenuous. Personally, I don't have no beef with him, but I don't respect how this nigga move. But also, I don't have no beef because I remember when I was that person. I remember when I was so insecure about myself that I felt like I had to overcompensate and like air out somebody's shit. Like now I'm aware of, like, whenever I have a problem with somebody, that's my problem. That's me personally having an issue with something that they represent. That's not something for me to like have real antagonistic energy towards somebody about. But if you're gonna be an op, expect me to go against you. But as I've been really getting to know myself and healing myself, I realize I have less and less problems with people. And I'm noticing how the world takes on the perspective you personally have, for real. Like, when I was a victim, I looked at the world through such a scarcity mentality. Like, so-and-so was trying to take this from me. So-and-so always wants this from me. Now I've gone through the transformation of being on the path of becoming my best self. And now I see abundance. And it just makes me want to empty out my pockets and bless this person, bless this person, bless this person, because I just see so much around us. But because I have the perspective of seeing both sides of the spectrum, now I can relate to people on a different level. When I'm interacting with somebody and I peep that it's like, let's say the hostile energy coming from them isn't because, you know, I'm an enemy. It's because they're an enemy to themselves. It's like I only have love, but it's still, I don't tolerate the bullshit. Like, miss me with the nonsense. You come to me with respect or don't come at all, or I'm going to handle it. It will be addressed. But now I'm at a point where, while I can understand where people are coming from, still I can't tolerate being around certain things. You can't help somebody heal their own self-love or self-respect. The best thing you can do is be the best version of you, and they'll just start catching on by example, because that's a journey they specifically have to go on. You can't drag somebody up that mountain. But that's all I got for today. I might start making this a series, Barber relationship lessons. I'm not going for it. That sounds kind of fire. But let me know if y'all want to hear another one. If you haven't already followed me, go ahead and follow your boy at Cuts by Elvis. But appreciate y'all again. If you haven't already liked, subscribe, go ahead and do that. But till next time, craft over clout. I'm out.